Brittany, and I have a monoclonal gammopathy or paraproteinemia. It just depends on how your doctor categorizes what's going on with your body. It is also referred to as MGUS, which is a monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. I was diagnosed a year ago. It was found a year ago, I should say. Those of you who have also gone through the path of getting your diagnosis, you know you don't get a diagnosis right away. They do several blood tests over the course of several months to determine what exactly is going on with you and whether or not it is truly a monoclonal gammopathy that's going on with your blood and your bone marrow, or if it's something stemming from an autoimmune disease. I have learned a lot in a year about what's going on with me, and also just about MGUS and monoclonal gammopathies in general. When we first learn about it, I think a lot of us, our biggest fear immediately right off the bat is multiple myeloma, which is a possibility for each and every one of us who has it. But multiple myeloma is not the sole cause of a monoclonal gammopathy. Many people who have monoclonal gammopathies can develop it because of rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, autoimmune diseases that affect your body systemically, because it's just messing with your body. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I know they can be attributed to having a monoclonal gammopathy. I do have a connective tissue disorder, which is known as EDS, but EDS does not cause monoclonal gammopathies. I've actually had someone ask me on YouTube whether or not it can be attributed to monoclonal gammopathies, and it doesn't. It affects just about every other part of my body except for that. EDS causes hypermobility and my tissues to be weaker than normal and stretchier than normal and prone to many different things, but the monoclonal gammopathy, as far as what we know in science as of this moment, is not tied to EDS, and EDS isn't tied to monoclonal gammopathies. Viruses also can be attributed to triggering a monoclonal gammopathy in individuals. I have had the opportunity to meet a lot of people through YouTube, and a lot of you guys who have subscribed I've gotten to talk to and meet and really get to know, and some of you have had monoclonal gammopathies that have cleared up and not sure what triggered it or what caused it. Hi baby. What might have caused it for you, but illness is preceded your monoclonal gammopathy, and then you just find that it clears up. I have met some people who have even had what seems like a quite miraculous healing, where their numbers, I mean, all of us who have it and have researched MGUS and myeloma know the numbers and the things that could be attributed to multiple myeloma, and their labs look pretty close to maybe having even smoldering myeloma, and it isn't, or it clears up and it's gone, which is amazing. Oh, that's too loud. Mama's trying to do something. Not okay. That's not okay. Okay. Yep. Go play. So, people who have had it cleared up, not sure what triggered it, if it's gone completely, but I have met a few people who have had their monoclonal gammopathies just clear up, which is amazing, and it also gives me hope, and other people I'm sure would find that hopeful, that maybe it's a virus that triggers the gammopathy, and then our body fights off and kind of restores itself. I have also read about maybe inflammatory diseases having a root in some monoclonal gammopathies, and actually that's something I'm quite hopeful for, because I have tested in a lot of different blood tests since finding the gammopathy that it looks like I could have a autoimmune disease that might be undiagnosed, because the markers looks like there's definitely inflammation in my body, but it's not one area or one thing, so it's really hard determining what's going on with my body and if it's truly just MGUS or if maybe it's something else going on, because I have an IgG lambda monoclonal gammopathy, but my IgA usually is a lot higher, and it's a polyclonal gammopathy going on with my IgA, which is also tied to autoinflammatory issues. And through studying and reading about what's going on with my body, specifically, I have found that there is a little chance, I'm going to bring it up with my oncologist, that I might have an autoinflammatory disease. And although I'm not getting too excited yet, just bring it up with her and what she thinks when I see her again in March. So it's been a year, and I think just so much has changed with myself and my outlook on it. I remember when I first found out, I didn't know anything at that point, because you go through such a long period of not knowing anything, just there's something wrong. And then after time goes on, you're starting to learn, and you see your oncologist after seeing every other kind of doctor trying to rule it out, and then you get answers, and then you just live with those answers for a while before, and more questions, before you find a kind of a peace. I am at peace with my diagnosis now. I feel okay having MGUS. It's not as scary as it was. I'm not afraid of dying or thinking I'm going to die from the MGUS. There's a lot of things that come after MGUS, but MGUS itself isn't going to do much to us. Yes, there's symptoms. When I think now we're getting to a point where some doctors are admitting, yes, there's symptoms with MGUS, but it's not the symptoms we're looking for. And there's certain symptoms that they look for with MGUS, such as high calcium, which is, the CRAB criteria, which is the calcium in your blood, which mine's borderline high, which I thought was a little bit weird, but my MGUS, my monoclonal gammopathy numbers are still pretty low from as far as what I know from last March. So, the calcium, renal issues, the A is anemia, and then bone issues. So those are the big criteria. So if you have the lytic bone lesions or the punched out holes in your bones, that's a big sign. Now if you have high numbers but you don't have all or most of the CRAB criteria, then you're considered smoldering, which I feel really, MGUS, we who have MGUS are lucky, and I always feel really bad saying that because we don't have a lot of the issues that come along with myeloma. But those who have smoldering myeloma have a lot of the issues that come along with myeloma, but they may not have the bone issues, and they're not going through the treatments that those who have myeloma have. And there's almost a sitting or a waiting that just you're a sitting duck. You're not being proactive about anything. And then when you finally switch over to active disease, I think there's a little bit, I wouldn't say relief because it's scary and there's no real good news about having myeloma. It's not curable. There were some studies, and I know T-cell type therapy that was out there for a while, and then they took it off for whatever reason, and there might be something else going on, but there's effective therapies out there, but it's still not curable. It's not gone. Even if it is gone for a little while, they tell you there's going to be a relapse. There's going to be a time where you will have it again, and you'll have to go through it again until it's not working, and then that's that. So there's a little bit of a fear when we think about myeloma and stuff like that, but I've also been very hopeful meeting and seeing other patients who are living with not just MGUS, but the more advanced stages of having a monoclonal gammopathy. I think too, once you have MGUS and you start to learn all of the things that go along with MGUS, that if you ever do progress to another malignancy, it may not be necessarily multiple myeloma. It might be amyloidosis, POEM syndrome, lymphoma. There's several other conditions that are tied to MGUS. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's multiple myeloma. And from what I've seen and what I've read, and especially if you're otherwise healthy other than having the monoclonal gammopathy, any treatment you have will buy you time and can even reverse some of the effects of what's going on with you. And I've heard of decades-long remissions. And I've also seen people who are otherwise healthy lose their health really quickly. So it's also given me an appreciation of what I have in my life and those who are in my life and those who I associate with. Relationships are more meaningful. I don't give as much time to pettiness, and I don't focus on negative things anymore, negative relationships, and it's easier now to kind of cut off the bad parts and the bad things in my life and just kind of focus on the good. So it's really changed my outlook on life for the better. It's made me a better mom. I'm more patient. I always think of the lens of, which I think we all should think like this, because we're not promised forever. You know, there's always something that could happen that we're no longer here. You know, it's as easy as driving to pick up my kids later today. I can get in a car accident and I'm gone. And just having that at the forefront of my mind, though, that there is a chance that I may not be here forever, and I should love as much as I can and do as much as I can and give as much as I can and leave a legacy for those who love me and leave a legacy for my family and just for the community at large that I'm a part of. So I think it's been a blessing, and, you know, it's my way of looking at it, and, you know, whether or not you feel that way, that's okay, and whether or not you agree with me, that's fine. I don't think anybody has to agree with me either. It's just my experience of having a monoclonal gammopathy. There's some things that I have learned, too, that are a little weird that they don't tell you in the oncologist office when you're getting your diagnosis, is you're not allowed to give blood anymore. I don't know if anybody else was told this, but you can't give blood. And it's kind of funny too, because a lot of oncologists try to tell you it's not malignant, you're not dying, it's not serious, but you can't give blood. And if you ask a nurse, why can't I give blood? Well, you have a malignant cells in your bone marrow, in your bloodstream, that, you know, we want to inject cancer into somebody. Why would we take your blood and put it into somebody when those cells, the chance for them is those cells can then take up shop in this person's body and cause a monoclonal gammopathy in them, which is not worth the risk. Will that happen? I don't know, but that's what I understand from what I was told and what I have read. So that was a big one that I had no clue about. I was like, oh, and I have one of those blood types that it can be given to anybody. So I'm usually that person where they're like, come give blood, and now they're like, yeah, don't. No, thank you. So that's one thing that I had no clue about. And then I also just read recently, and it was on a cancer site, and it was, there's no difference between an average person with MGUS.
Mommy! Can you have my drink with you?
Yep. Put the phone down first. An average person who has MGUS, not one that stems from maybe an autoimmune disease, but MGUS, true MGUS, and those who have myeloma, there's no difference in the myeloma cells in their body. The only difference between someone with MGUS and a person with full-blown myeloma is the amount of cells in their body. So MGUS, you have the malignant cells in your body. There's just not enough to proliferate and eat away at your bone and cause the issues associated with myeloma. Multiple myeloma. Sorry, I say myeloma for multiple myeloma, but I think they're both considered technically myeloma, which is another thing where it took me a while to learn what myeloma was, what it isn't, what MGUS is, and what it isn't. And my doctor, even though I've announced boldly and proudly and quite excited to not have multiple myeloma, she never told me, my oncologist, that I had MGUS. She just said, you have a monoclonal gammopathy. And I don't know if that is because she kind of wanted to wait till, you know, the next time I see her to just go ahead and smack that diagnosis on me, maybe because I am very symptomatic. I don't know if it's just her way of playing it safe. And, you know, from what I have read, again, I think we all become our best and biggest advocates. Is from what I read, the first year is the most telling of progression. So if the first year you have any kind of change for the worse, then that's a signal to your oncologist that there may be something more than just a gammopathy, or that you have a higher risk of progression later on. Even though you may not progress right now, there's a chance later on that you will. So yeah, it's just a ever-evolving, ever-changing thing with me, and I have gotten very comfortable with the diagnosis. I'm not afraid, and even if I do progress, I mean, I wouldn't lie and say there's absolutely no fear. But more than not having any fear is I have a peace about my situation and what's going on with me. And a lot of that has to do with my faith. And, you know, I believe in someone is something much bigger than me. I believe that there's more than what we see and what we know to be factual and true right before our eyes. I think the world and the universe and just spiritual things, there's so much more than what we see and experience just right in front of us. And for those who have connected to on a personal level, I might have shared my faith with you guys. Some of you also, you know, I've prayed with you guys, so it's been nice on that, but I won't go too much into that on this because I do have a broad range of people who watch this and have gotten to connect with, and I don't want to just preach at somebody, but that's also been a big part for me. So I think anybody who is going through this, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, or you have no particular faith that you cling to, just finding something that gives you the sense of purpose and something much bigger than your circumstances in the moment, I think will help in a huge way in dealing with the diagnosis. So with all of that being said, it gets better with time, and from what I've experienced from other myeloma patients, we are warriors. Probably the strongest and most amazing people I have met are those living with myeloma, and I just want to thank each and every one of you who've been watching, who have reached out to me personally. I've met some friends along the way, and it's just been amazing connecting with you guys. So thank you so much. I will try to make more videos. I've been so sporadic in making videos, but I just wanted to share my 1-year anniversary with you guys and just let you know, anyone who's new to the diagnosis, that it's not the end, and it is not as bad as what it feels like in the beginning, and there's hope. And just stay positive, because this journey, wherever it's leading us, it's not terrible, all terrible, I should say, and it gets better. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch me ramble and my little one kind of interject here and there. And thank you so much. Oh, and Chip and Joanna Gaines in the background, I love them. So thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.